2 o'clock. I want to start. Thank you. Before I officially start, can I ask the Chief Walters to do the safety protocol? Chief.
Thank you, Speaker. Good afternoon, Speaker, Municipal Manager, Councillors, Directors, all protocols observed. I am Dino Walters, related to law enforcement and security. I just briefly want to go over the emergency evacuation procedures. Please, in the event of a fire or a bomb, please remain calm, be focused. I will take the lead depending on the situation. I will indicate which exit to use to our various evacuation points. I will take the lead within the council chambers. My colleague will take lead within for all our visitors. Please, I urge on you to remain calm in such a situation. Just an important reminder, Councillor, everyone present within the council chambers, don't neglect to fill in the attendance register. It becomes vitally important when we have an evacuation for the purposes of roll call. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Chief Walters. Can I then request the Whip of Council to open for us with a prayer? Thank you.
Here, baie dankie Here vanoggend. Vanmiddag Here waar ons na U toe kan kom om vir U baie dankie te sê vir hierdie dag. Dankie Here dat ons weet dat U is getrou en U is 'n waaragtige God, my koning. Here, terwyl ons vandag Here hier in hierdie chambers is, Here Jesus is een van ons kollegas. Glad nie meer saam met ons, Here, en ek wil bid dat U vanmiddag met sy familie sal wees. Dankie vir sy vlug hierop, Here, na die ewige tuiste toe, Here, ons sê vir U baie dankie vir dit, Here. Here, waar ons vandag, Here, weer eens, Here, by 'n special vergadering is, wil ek bid dat U met ons sal wees. Elkeen beskerm en behoed, Here, en dankie, Here, dat U genesende hand met ons community sal wees hier buite. Ek wil bid dat U seën vandag op ons sal rus en alles wat ons sal doen, dat ons dit sal doen tot ere van U. En ek bid dit in Jesus naam. Amen.
Amen.
Baie dankie, Swip van die Raad. Councillors, before I start with the agenda, we've compiled a short memorabilia for councillors, for the elect councillor Witbooi, and the video will be played now. I also want to say welcome to our live stream audience and any persons in the gallery. Elzijn, you may proceed.
Speaker, I have one point of clarity on the IDP.
Yes.
Page 66.
66.
Or 60, yeah.
68.
68, Speaker.
Yes.
I see on that page, human settlement, that Hopefield, there's no housing project for Hopefield on that list. For Green Village, I see Langebaan is on. What is the situation that Hopefield and Green Village is not on this list for future housing projects? Our people cry 10 years back, 15 years back, 20 years back for new housing projects. But I'm sitting here, my 4th year, I was in every IDP, and we put on the IDP housing. And here is no housing for Hopefield Hot 7 on that list. And we sit with a big backlog of housing in Hopefield. En ek bedoel, dorp soos Hopefield, daar gaan huise moontlik 20, 30 opkom. Maar daar kan opportunities kom.
It's translating to
Dus ik kom ik maar zo Engels en Afrikaans. Ja, meng, ja.
You can continue, sir.
Dat daar is zo'n opportunity vir opveld ook gaan kyk hoeveel service er beskikbaar is en ook op tender in preference to people of opveld. En dan wil ik net een stukje bijzetten dat daarmee opveld zijn industrials soos crops en opveld windfarming mooi ook gepraat dat kan hulle bydra tot housing, hulle social responsibility for housing tot opveldse inwoners. Middag speaker, middag councillors. Speaker, ek wil net meneer Louis Volskein van Council America en Waldo Julius. Baie dankie sê, die afgelope tyd het ook veel 3 groot waterbreke gehad, maar die mense kon nooit besef het dat die water af is met hulle flinkse diens wat hulle gelewer het. En ek vra hulle dat ons daai standaard hou en laat ons die skills oordra, meneer Amerika. Baie dankie.
Thank you, Councillor Bidboy. Thank you. Thank you very much, councillors. Yes, you will be sorely missed. Official announcements. The Executive Mayor has one announcement, and the Chief Whip has approval for an announcement, and also Councillor Beagle. Executive Mayor.
Speaker, yeah, just it was touching to watch that. I realize now the best seat in the House was that of Tyron. He was always laughing because he sat next to Councillor Witbooi. Ek sal vandag hom respek wys deur in Afrikaans te sê. Hy was 'n groot siel met 'n groot hart en groot passie vir sy gemeenskap, en ons as raad sal hom baie mis. Boven alles was hy 'n goeie mens. En speaker, laat my toe om in Afrikaans te sê, Councillor Witbooi, ons sal jou mis. Jy was die mees innoverende mens wat ek gesien het met Engels en Afrikaans om woorde op sy eie te maak, soos ons aangaan. En hy het baie vinnig gedink en baie vinnig goed gesê. En Speaker, I just want to place it on record that we will miss him. And his absence here, and in English I'll repeat it for my other colleagues. He was a people's person, and most of all, he cared for his community, and he had a good heart, and he will be missed. We've lost a few colleagues. On that note, Speaker, I just want to say that we appreciate each other and our loved ones, because our time is not our own. None of us thought we would be standing here today and saying goodbye to a colleague. And we don't know when is our time, so therefore it is good to use the chances that we have. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Executive Mayor. Chief Whip of the ANC.
Madam Speaker, Executive Mayor, I see our Deputy Mayor is not here today, all my colleagues and everybody else in the House, and also the viewers out there. It's not really an announcement that I want to make. The Mayor actually jumped on the wagon that I was going to jump on, so I'm going to jump on it and hopefully not break my other leg. It is 2021 to 2025, and in 4 years, we sat in this council repeatedly. And it makes me emotional because I think we are human and we're fickle and we have tirades and we have emotions and we throw tantrums and we forget that the person next to you or the person that is in the opposition is a human being. And that's from my side of the table and the other side of the table. Councillor Witbooi was controversial and he was unafraid. I've never encountered someone so unafraid to say exactly what he thought and what he felt and what he saw and what he encountered. In more than one portfolio, a councillor of another party stood up for me repeatedly, and that was Councillor Witbooi when I was outnumbered or out whatever. I have great respect for him as a person, and he will be missed because his persona filled this room. He was ridiculed and he was made, I think, many times to feel as though he did not really belong. But if there was one person who belonged in this council that really stood for his community, because you can go, and I literally spent a few days going through all of our previous videos. And in every single one of them, he always, no matter what was on that agenda, he would bring up Hopefield, Ward 7. And he never took no for an answer. He always wanted the things to be right. We've lost 3 councillors in 4 years. One was brutally murdered, one died of a very short illness, and Councillor Witbooi died unexpectedly. When I heard, I was shocked. Many of us are facing all kinds of things within our staff, within our communities, and within this council. And as the Chief Whip of the ANC, who lost 2 of our councillors in a space of 4 years, 2 great men who loved their community, Councillor Kleba and Councillor Liwani, and now Councillor Witbooi of another party, I want to urge us as councillors in this council and as community leaders and husbands and wives and sisters and brothers to remember that life belongs to God and that only He knows when our days are numbered. And you never know when you go out if it's going to be your last second or your last moment. Let us treat each other inside of this council with the utmost respect. And let us always remember that not all of us are equally educated, because there was a lot of things in the past that ensured that many of us did not get that opportunity. But let us see the people that we are. And the one person I want to thank out of all the councillors in this municipality that has always treated everybody with so much endearment and so much kindness and so much respect. She's not here today, and I wanted to thank her especially, is the Deputy Mayor. May we all always remember that we all belong to God and that we all are in fact part of His kingdom, and that we will respect one another, honor one another, and when we debate, that we don't do it in a nasty way or a rude way, but a professional way. And then I want to thank everyone for just not forgetting of the people that left us. And I hope that in this new year that is coming, Speaker, that when everybody is going through this silly season, that you will remember that we may not wear the same T-shirts, but we are all of the same human race. And let us be the best we can be, not at the cost of others. And thank you so much that you serve the community, and I hope that you're going to do it as well as he did, because that should be your challenge.
Thank you, Chief Whip of the ANC. Chief Whip of the MK Party.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Greetings to all, protocol observe, my colleagues, councillors, officials of the municipality, Saldanha Bay municipality. I want just to announce also to take this opportunity as the Chief Whip of the ANC talk about with the Council Witbooi. I know Council Witbooi when he was very young in Hopefield, early 90s. I was working for Carto. It was the guy that is helping me when you take things at the shop. All the time you must pay with a 1 Russians. I don't know who now will be again in this council are Russians, because I call him Russians. So I don't know who will be Russians again. And another one that was very it makes us very sore hearts. In Ward 1, last week, on the 18th of October, there was a young, very young boy that has been stabbed. He's 16 years old. And then he passed away. Last week, we held a memorial service, and he will be buried in the Eastern Cape, Centana, on the 1st of November. I did make an apology for the mayor who was not there that day, because I know mayor is my big friend surrounding this municipality, whereas we are not one Cape, but our mindset or our vision is one. And also, the police, they did catch up the men that have been stabbed, the small guy. And we as a community of Middle Post, we feel that the clinic that currently is being built now, the name of that small guy must be appear in that clinic. Because it was the first time in my life, I stay in Middle Post more than 40 years. I saw the street full of children, not toying, showing that there was love for that small boy. And the community hall was full until at a gate in a memorial service. When the guy must go to Eastern Cape, that small services, the street was full. All the community was as one, together as one in that sun. That's why we have been seeing that it can be our president if he was still alive. So that's why we want his name must be not just gone, must be appear all the time in front of our eyes until our time came also. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you, Chief Whip of the MK and Chief Whip of the Good Party.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Goedemiddag allemaal, burgemeester, directors, raadsleden. Speaker, ja, het was een baie emotionele tijd voor ons geweest. Woorde ontbreek, die donderdag aan toe ons die nieuws skryf van die afsterven van Councillor Witbooi. Ik heb voor u geschakeld, ik heb die burgemeester geschakeld, ik heb voor Alderman Koen geschakeld. En ons was allemaal geskok. No one could have believed it. Tot die tijd toen ik daar gekomen het, waar ik nog redelijk aanschouw het. Ons collega het ons verlaat. Speaker, met dit gesê, wil ek net baie dankie sê vir die council, vir hulle omgee, vir Councillor Witbooi. Ons weet sommige tye was hy maar baie onstuimig. Hy het sy ding deurgedruk as hy het moet. Daar was geterg, daar was ietsie gesê, veral daar Alderman Koen. Maar hy het sommige tye sy composure gehou en hy het sy punt gemaak. En vir dit gaan ons hom regtig baie mis. Ek wil ook vir elke persoon dankie sê wat die familie bygestaan het in die tyd. Het was 'n harde 2 weke gewees om hom begrawe te kry. So namens die Good Party wil ek net vir elkeen hartlik baie dankie sê vir al die drukkies, al die phone calls. Ons waardeer dit regtig opreg. Dankie, Speaker.
Thank you, Chief Whip of the Good Party, Executive Mayor.
Speaker, I must fall on my sword. There's something I missed. I think as council we must also say thank you to Councillor Williams. Thank you for what you did. I said it to you on a WhatsApp, and I think it needs to be said in open. I know the amount of trauma that you go through to see your friend that's passed away, to see the heartbrokenness of his family. And I think, Speaker, we will be amiss if we don't say thank you on behalf of Council for stepping in, for driving there that night, and for carrying your friend the last bit of the way. So you have our gratitude. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Executive Mayor. Thank you, councillors. I am now at the leave of absence. You will see there's quite a few chairs that's empty. Online is joining us Councillor Scholz, who's very sick, and Councillor Morrison. I'm not sure if the Deputy Mayor has joined yet, so he might join later, depending on where they are currently. She's with Director Smith on their way to a conference. Then I also have Councillor Cleophas and Komani, who's sick at home. Councillor Twala might still make it, but something happened there in the ward, and I know that where he is, and DSD is also assisting him with something there in his ward. Then Councillor Shane Gimbo is currently en route to Cape Town because his baby sister was taken by ambulance to Grooteskier. She's been poisoned. And then that is all the apologies that there is. Councillors, then I take you to item 4, declaration of interest. None? Oh, okay, thank you. Then confirmation of the minutes of the virtual council meeting of the 30th of July and the 21st of August. I just need to make one correction. Of the 30th of July, item 10/7, the indigent policy that we amended, administration omitted one line item, bullet point number 3, that was in the discussion document, was not added to the resolution. Then bullet point number 3 will say that council approve to amend paragraph 5C4 of the indigent policy to read as follows. The applicant or occupant owner in brackets must occupy the main dwelling of the premises on a full-time basis, receive a municipal account in his or her name, is a South African citizen and may not own any other fixed property except in cases whereby the second dwelling and or property has been acquired through inheritance or donation and no income is derived from such. Supporting documentation must be provided to these cases and a motivation can be presented to the CFO for consideration and approval. However, the client can only qualify for indigent support on one of the properties. So that's the amendment to the 30th of July minutes. Can I have a proposal and a secondment? Alderman Mamabola proposed and Councillor America has seconded. Thank you, councillors. Then I'm at item 6/10, the section 11(4)A52D report, compliance report for the first quarter of this financial year. Is there any questions or inputs, comments on the document? For clarity, Councillor Pretorius.
Good day, everyone. Just a question of clarity. At 4.4, they mentioned the Diazville 559 housing project. Page 8. But then on page 80, the housing projects that is listed currently, there's no mentioning of the Diazville 559. I just want to know what is the current affairs of the Diazville 559 project, please.
Thank you for the question for clarity. Levuyo or the CFO?
Thank you, Chairperson. I just want to take us to the number where we have made an explanation for the Diazville 559. I'm just looking at the document, Speaker, if that is okay with you. It is in one of the annexes. All the projects at the end, annexure A1 or A2. If you can just go to that, Councillor. Just want to make sure. An expenditure. Yeah. Yes. Okay.
You should have allowed the CFO to respond.
Okay, the CFO can go if he wants to go.
Please respond.
Structures. So that's on the operating budget. capital budget. So it's not necessary that both should be carried at the same time. Normally it's first the top services and then the top structures.
Thank you. If you want to add on?
Yes, and I know where the question is coming from, Speaker. We are currently busy working with that project. We have requested the department to assist us, Department of Infrastructure to assist us, because there was already people that was approved, but unfortunately we're going to have to go through that process of approvals again, so that might hold up the project a little bit. But we are in discussion with the department.
Thank you. Councillor van der Merwe.
Thank you, Speaker, for the opportunity. I'm at page number 23, item number 16, employee information. Just a quick question. Prior to the start of the financial year, we were at 127 funded vacant positions. The question is, why is it taking so long for us to fill those vacancies? If we look at the amount of temps as well as fixed-term employees that are currently in those departments, if I can just look at, we have corporate and public safety services, 15 funded vacant positions. 18, my apologies. Woo. 18, as in no liquor. But our temps is 10, and then we have 28 fixed-term employees. So I think the concern here is, Speaker, through you, is it really such an obstacle to fill these vacancies if these are critical positions that is required to serve the community outside? Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor van der Merwe. Director Mbaliswana, will you respond?
All of them. Yours didn't work
Council approved a strategy for us. One of the challenges that we have identified is the time that we're taking to process. We're taking too long to process the application. So what we have done, because of the capacity, we've sourced a service provider. The advert closed on Friday. That is going to handle and process the long list, because it's the typing and all that. So that's one of the things that we're busy doing, so that we're afraid that we might not comply with the MSR, because MSR is saying we must fill the vacancies within 6 months. So we have calculated that most of our time is spent on, we advertise, but the long list, the capturing of the long list, as well as doing the short list. So that service provider is going to help with that. So it's going to fast track the process. But in terms of the vacancy list, we are below 10%, which is a normal benchmark for municipalities of our size. Because if you look at corporate services, we've got resignations. You fill the position this side, then the people are leaving. So it's not abnormal to have that number. If you calculate, we're below 10%, which is what we're measuring. We understand the issue of saying we must fill the vacancies within 6 months. So we're monitoring in terms of saying when the vacant position became vacant, when did we fill it. So there's numerous things that we're trying to do to fast track the filling of the vacancies. But in terms of our number of positions, we are right below 10%, which is accepted because of the resolutions, death, and all the other turnaround things. Thanks, Speaker.
Thank you, Director. Chief Whip of the ANC's hand is first, and then there's somebody online with a question. Chief Whip for the ANC.
Madam Speaker, thank you. CFO, I'm going to direct my questions to the CFO through you, Madam Speaker. I'm going to pick up my book, my eyes are weak. In the beginning of item 6 of 1025, we have a sentence which says that 71% variance is the contracted services, because of slow construction progress, which affects maintenance, sewage, roads, infrastructure, and this has been identified as the biggest contributors with under expenditure. CFO, I've read through your answers and so forth, but I need a better explanation, or imagine I'm in grade 1 and you need to tell me a story so that I can understand, if you could do that. And then I have the same question in regards to the vacancies, because we passed a strategic plan not too long ago through the LLF into the council, which we passed, where you said that the strategic plan was going to be used to expedite the filling of the vacancies, and today again I'm hearing that it's going to take longer because you're still not getting to fill the vacancies, because you need to get the temp and the temps, and you need to get the service provider to do the typing, etc., which I would like to have made sense since we have all of these temporary people that can assist. Then I want to go to page 16, please, with the employee arrears. I have a question. We have an employee, I don't even want to mention the employee's number, but he or she accrued an account that is in arrears of 101,406. Inside of that, there's a little description and the comment. Nowhere do I read that that person's electricity was disconnected and services were stopped. Then I go down and I come to an employee with a certain number who only owes 406 Rand, has the electricity blocked and has to make a new arrangement. So CFO, I would like to understand how an EPWP worker who owes 406 Rand, has no electricity, must make a new arrangement, but an employee, who I would really like to know who that person is, but I know Poppy is going to stop me, has an account of 101,406, and nowhere in those comments is there a statement that says this person's electricity was cut, they have no more services, and this person is not even paying, and it's 101,000. It's really boggling my mind. Then I would like to understand, with our debit and credit control, we have two companies, whether they're companies or whether they're entities or whether they're individuals, that owes more than R1 million in the highest outstanding balances, those 10 companies, that have more than R1 million that they owe us. I would like to understand, and we've asked this question, I think, through a number of years going, how do these companies or individuals or whoever they are accrue such large amounts and have to be taken to court before something happens? Is there a discrepancy? Is there something that says that a company can owe R1 million and we don't cut their services because we feel sorry for them because they're not going to be able to work, etc., but they still owe us the money and they don't pay, and then we have a certain individual who earns the basic minimum, not even the minimum, and has no electricity? If that could be explained to me, I would feel so much better today. And then, in all sincerity, may I thank you for putting it in the report again, that it's difficult to get the government to pay, but unfortunately they got to pay. And I think that if we really want to be honest with ourselves, and we really want to say that we want to be fair in all things, if they don't pay, cut their services. Then they can sit in their offices, and I'm sure they can hear me now. Probably find me, I don't care. But the problem with the fact is, then you sit and you type without electricity, because you cannot owe millions and a poor person owns 400 Rand and has no services. So somehow, somewhere, and I always believe in fairness, justice, and doing the right thing. And the right thing is, if you can't pay, then you don't get. So we've got this public works department, our public works department, our government, that owes us a tremendous amount of money. And I'm quite sure they still have electricity, can make coffee, and they can have running water. But a person owing 400 Rand does not. So CFO, if in future you draft new policies in regards to this, please make sure that there's a clause that says, if you don't pay, you don't get, no matter who you are. Whether you're the president or the cleaning lady, what's fair is fair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor, Chief Whip of the ANC, Councillor Rousseau. Can I ask Councillor Williams from Good, and then I will allow the administration to respond.
Speaker.
Before the administration responds, I will allow the online questions.
Okay. Speaker, just one question for clarity. Page 16. Status of councillors arrears. Speaker, I'm glad there's no one here. There's no name mentioned here. My question is this the truth? The reason why I'm asking, I have proof, Madam Speaker, that on the 28th of August, there's a councillor that was 60 days in arrears of 20,000 rand. This report is September, and there's nothing here. So can someone please explain to me what is going on here? Please, Madam Speaker, and I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Jermaine?
Good day, Councillor Morrison. You can proceed to comment on the item.
Thank you. Honorable Executive Mayor, Madam Speaker, Municipal Manager, Directors, fellow councillors, and most importantly, to all our residents and viewers tuned in today, good afternoon. Before I want to raise questions for clarity on item number 6, I just want to add something before I proceed. As we deliberate on the critical matters before the Special Council, our focus remains on ensuring that decisions taken in this chamber directly improve the lives of our people of Saldanha Bay Municipality. Our duty is to uphold transparency, accountability, and fairness in governance, while keeping service delivery at the center of our priorities. I've got a few questions on this item. The first one is,
You've used up 2
why
minutes
are
already.
why are key infrastructure and housing projects showing slow progress and underspending? And what is being done to accelerate visible delivery on the ground? I know we're still in the first quarter of the new financial year. Question number 2, with electricity losses reported above national norms, what steps are being taken to address technical faults and illegal connections that raise costs for residents? What is the plan to improve revenue collection while protecting struggling households already burdened by service tariffs? And then question number 4, how will management ensure that grant funds are fully spent and not lost to rollovers, especially in critical service delivery departments? And I thank you.
Thank you, Jermaine. CFO, have you got all the questions? Right, thank you. You may proceed.
Speaker, I'm going to try to answer most of them. I think perhaps with the help of Lavuyo for the last one. So contracted services, that is services that's been rendered by consultants, by security companies. So it's all the services that are contracted in by the municipality. And I think a big part of the underspending on contracted services relates to housing, because that's a process where we have to appoint a consultant to drive that process. Now, everyone knows where we are with the housing. We're currently busy evaluating and maybe awarding the implementing agent tender, so that will happen soon. One of the things that's also driving the budget variance is that in year, if I talk about in year, I mean the opposite of at year end. At year end, there's a hard close of the financial statements. We do accruals, we write journal entries, but in year, we normally account for it when payment is done. So for example, for security services, the expense of September might be that's only paid in October, and it's most likely that's the case. That will mean that there's a variance. So you only have 2 months of expenditure in a 3-month period. So that can be explained. One of the other things from contracted services is also maintenance of our assets. So that also follows the same pattern. If invoices are paid after September, it's then recorded in the next period. That's the biggest of our challenge. Now, this reporting period that ended in September is only for 3 months. So it creates a problem every year because of year-end transactions that's been reversed in the first month of the new financial year. So GRAP especially requires that you do accruals of your revenue. For example, for water and electricity, we read, say, until 15 June, but then we have to accrue between 16 June and 30 June. But then we reverse that journal in the first week of July, which creates a bit of disparity. So we're trying to address this by writing journals. So the next period that will end in end of December, the variance will not be that big. And that's for everything, even the collection ratio. Our collection ratio is consistently above 96, but here in this report is 92%. So it's that skewness of the first 3 months. Okay, then the employee debt of 101,000. So employees are also subject to our credit control process, but now there's a double check. Because they are in our employment, we also deduct from their salaries a certain amount. So I don't know the specific individual that owes us 101. I don't know who it is, but I assume, because sometimes it does happen, it's a new employee that's appointed and he owes the municipality a lot of money. So that also then there's a question, should we not, before we appoint personnel, make sure that they do not owe any debt? So this one I will just follow up. Thank you for raising this and raising awareness of this matter. Okay, then the top 10 outstanding debts. So those normally there's little movement of those. It stays there for months and months and months. Last year I think there were 2 on that list, top 10 list, that we were able to settle, and that also boosted our collection ratio last year. So it's a legal process. It needs to follow the legal route. All of them have been handed over, and our policy is saying if you hand over debt, then the communication process is between our legal representatives and the debtor. So I'm sure in time those will clear. The reason that it's here, I mean, this was specifically included in this report. It's not a requirement that it be here, but it has been included just to inform Council that we are looking at this matter and we're taking it seriously. Government debt, I can't remember, I think it's 16 million outstanding. Let me just confirm. Yeah, it's so 26 million is outstanding, 22 million from national government, and then 3.4 million from provincial government. And almost, I think about 45% relates to current debt. So payable within 30 days. The majority, the 55%, relates to old debt. Now, we had so many discussions with provincial treasury, with national treasury. They always promise they will help. Even the politici here, they said they will help, but it's difficult. We have attended meetings. The reality is that a lot of this debt is in St. Helena Bay, those properties there, and we do not levy electricity. most of the debt is property rights. We cannot cut electricity. What we can do is we can say, okay, this is public works. The school across the road is part of public works. Let's cut the school and poker face, and let's see who wins first. But it's not that easy, Councillor. Okay, the next question is Councillor's arrears. So we had that long process in the previous financial year of the councillor's arrears. Now that councillor did pay his outstanding debt, but he's now in the process, or he has already registered a dispute again. So that dispute is being handled by the finance officials. I think they're very close to finalize that, and hopefully we will get closure on that. In terms of our debt collection policy of council, if someone raises a dispute, they're allowed to park that debt that's been disputed, but they have to pay the current debt going forward. So this report has been, that section dealing with the council's arrears has been prepared by the Revenue Department and checked by the senior manager. So I believe that when they say here there's no outstanding debt, they've checked that against the policy and also against the number of days outstanding. And then the last question relates to grants. How will we ensure that we do not lose any grants? Levue, one of the things that Levue is driving is the MIC grant. So we have two big MIC projects, which is the Langville Sports Grounds, and I think we're very far. I think we're almost practically done, so that's not a problem. And the other big one is the Langville Wastewater Treatment Works. Now, Levue's tender on that second one closes in the first week of November. So Levue has a target in terms of the MIC requirements to spend 40% of the MIC grant by 31 December. And I've spoken so many times with him. He has his plans in place to ensure that we reach that goal. Speaker, I don't know if Levue wants to add anything to that.
The MM will add, and then the executive mayor, the chief of operations, and for MM. Sorry, Levue.
Should I stand? Okay, thank you. I won't be long. Like the CFO has alluded earlier on, that I'm involved with the implementation of MIG grant. Out of my own experience, councillors, all the years I've been involved with the implementation of that grant, what I've noticed, we do plan for those projects because they are all coming from the budget, the approved capital budget. And then in terms of the DCOG and the other government departments who are responsible to monitor the implementation of those grants, we do some sort of planning where we complete DPIPs, where we include cash flows and also the timelines or time frame for such projects. We do all of that before the start of the financial year. But what happened in most cases, during execution, after the consultant is appointed, then we are doing planning. And then we do encounter like delays that were not expected, like for example due to EIA and the others. And then those delays, they affect now our planning. And then in that case now we are forced to have backup projects so that they can help us to ensure that we meet the targets. Because each of these conditional grants, they have targets which are prescribed by DCOG and also DLG. So it's due to unforeseen circumstances. If I can try to wrap it up in short, those are the things that affect the time years implementation of those grant projects. So it's not a matter of we don't plan, we plan for them. To add on what the CFO has just mentioned earlier on, like for this year, we know by December we need to reach a target of 40%. We are where we are now, we are very close or over 5 million rand. If you take into account the Langville Sport Grounds and then also the the PMU salary portion of the funds. Then the 40% target of our annual allocation is 9.2 mil. So we are roughly short with 4 mil. But if we look at our planning, there is a tender that is closing this coming Friday. As soon as that tender closes and then we award it, our plan is to, by mid-December, to make sure that the contractor is on site and then also the site establishment has taken place. And then our plan, we are going to spend about 3.5 million of that during that month of December. But most of that will be fixed PNGs and then also the MOS, which means the material that will have to be purchased in advance. So in short, we do plan for those grants projects. And then I think also specifically for housing projects, also we do encounter rollovers. Then some becomes approved, some they don't get approved. So those things happen. Like if we look at Middelpost and then also this VIRP project here in Vredenburg, we are encountering also challenges there in terms of biodiversity offset studies and those things. So all of those things were things that were not part of our planning, but now are the prerequisite requirements from our DHP side. So then they hamper the project progress. And then in that case, the departments are forced to come out with other measures to circumvent or to get around those problems. So in short, if our planning cannot be hampered by any of these things, then we will always easily be able to spend the grant funds without any issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting Director of IPS. MM?
Thank you, Speaker. Just with regard to the slow progress of the capital rollout, we're currently busy with our rollout plan. We already had engagement with all the project owners, where we've given them some strict instructions. They had to come and explain to the whole of the EMT. The next meeting will be on the 5th of November, where we'll look at how their progress has been. You'll see that although there's only 4% spending, we're already at 16% committed. So we wish to push that up to 50% committed at by the end of the year. That's our target. So we are confident that we will find a way to do better this year with regard to the capital expenditure. Just with regard to the technical losses, I give an instruction, and we're currently doing a pilot metering project in Middelpost, where we are going to measure at specific places so that we can find out what is the electricity that we sell against the electricity that we do not sell. That's just a pilot. We're going to do that in all the areas so that we can start to have data and make the decision based upon that data. We do go out, and we've done this with the help of council from Ward 1. We've done this a few times where we went out and we cut all the illegal connections, but we have found that the illegal connections is up there the next day. So we're looking at other ways. We have spoken to some of our lawyers to say, listen here, instead of us going after the persons who do the illegal connections, maybe we should look at the people who take the illegal connections. So we're currently looking at that, but we want to make sure that it's legally sound. But that's the process.
Thank you, Municipal Manager. Just from the chair, also to add, councillors, if you look at page 76, Annexure 77, page 77, Annexure 1, there's all the directorates and the contract owners, where you can also, Annexure 2 gives detail of everybody. The only concern that I have is that there's still nothing and no tender awarded with the road construction. It will stay zero until next year. Councillor Williams, follow up? I noted your hand, and then the Executive Mayor.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, through you to the CFO. Dispute. You talk about the dispute of the specific councillor. For the 4th time now. They keep on disputing when they owe money to the municipality. Speaker, and this is now on a serious note. We as the Good Party, we demand that this councillor should be suspended up until this dispute has been resolved. Also, Speaker, take note This specific councillor is a chairperson of a portfolio meeting, a portfolio committee, one of the most important portfolio committees. And he cannot chair a meeting if he owes the municipality money. I am part of that committee, and I will make sure he is not chairing that meeting tomorrow. So the Good Party, Speaker, demand that that specific councillor must be suspended up until this whole dispute thing has been resolved. I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williams, and also be reminded that we all have a code of conduct policy that that we must follow. Executive Mayor.
Yeah, Speaker, we just had a talk just now. Councillor, so you reminded us to play nicely with each other even when we disagree. So maybe we should look at, if there's a dispute, to put a time limit on it. And there's nothing legally stopping within our policy somebody chairing a meeting. So I know you feel strongly about it, Councillor, but nothing stops any of us to chair a meeting when you've got a dispute going. Even if I'm wrong, it's my reality that I think I'm right, and therefore I'm allowed a dispute. So I ask CFO that we capture a dispute, and that if I'm wrong, then I pay the interest of declaring the dispute, so I don't use it as a mechanism. I just want to put that on records. And CFO, I must just caution you, we should never stop somebody from getting a job because they owe money. People want to pay their debt. Every man and woman that I know have a desire to pay their debt. Some people have hit a bad time and they don't have a job. So we should rather, when somebody asks him, do you owe the municipality or her? And then say, this is how you need to pay it back, and you need to agree to that before we employ you. But let us never hold people back that can pay their dues. Imagine if we say that to our EPWP workers, people that need it the most. So just a caution there, that should never be our way out. Councillor Rousseau asked a question that wasn't answered, and that was on Public Works fully. So Public Works Councillor actually came here. The National Minister came here. Inteendeel het gesê, I was very lastig. He was still busy taking his oath when I asked him to come to the municipality and to speak to us about debt. Councillor Kotze has often asked me to use my position to get them to pay their debt. Speaker, he came. We are in a discussion with him how we can trade off properties that they don't use to give it to us so that we can action it. We are talking to them about their debt, and I've spoken to the CFO to find a mechanism that we can write off interest, because a portion of that is historical interest. Government's not allowed to pay interest. Now it shows that amount, but actually they're not able to pay it. They're not allowed to pay it. So either we need to separate that so that the council can make a better decision and see, well, it's not 26 million, it's actually 19 million, 6 million is, or 4 million, 5 million is historical interest. Because as you know, we can't pay the interest and neither can they. And that's stuff that we've inherited. But we must find a mechanism where we can write it off, because it paints a false picture, and it makes us it makes us up in arms unnecessarily, because they're not going to pay that. And I just want to thank the MM. We've had some serious discussion about spending, and thank you for stepping in. I'm very concerned when I see something that we're very proud of, good quality roads and things like that, is in the firing line. But we've had serious discussions, and I'm following with interest to see that these things are addressed. Thank you for the department, and thank you to the CFO that sat for a week in order to make sure that the implementing agent for housing is done, advertised, walk through, and the other housing things. So thank you. I think we also need to say thank you, Speaker, where it's due. So to the department, thank you, but we will follow with Hawkeye. Thank you.
Councillor Morrison, you can proceed.
Thank you. Yes, Madam Speaker, there's just something that I need clarity on, man. The KPIs, according to my understanding, is a department or a directorate. They are measured by either achieving or not achieving the targets. And this is just something that came up. Why is it that, and this is from the start, since I've been in council, I've been wondering about this. You see targets on it not being met, but still yet, when the KPIs come out of a certain directorate, then they achieve top scores. Can someone please just help me understand that process, because it clearly...
Speaker, relevance, the council is now on item 8 and we're still now on item 6.
Councillor Morrison, the point over is carried. You are now on the wrong item. You quoted wrong. Thank you. Councillor Williams, you had a follow-up or no? Sorry, the Chief Whip of the ANC. Hands was up. Are you going to fly with the mayor to the ANC offices about the debt?
Madam Speaker, I'm probably going to be driven over by a truck. Okay, Madam Speaker, they're going to have to use a big one because I'm big. Okay, no, all jokes aside. No, guys, come on now, man. Shh, I don't know julle. Ek is klaar nie moeilikheid. You guys, Councillor Speaker, I said that because I'm a firm believer in justice. And for me, looking at that and seeing that somebody poor has to pay, but somebody that owns so much, and it's not the government now, please, doesn't pay the other employee. That, and I agree with the mayor, and I want to say this. Please, CFO, do not let people not be able to get a job because they have debt. Number one, the reason why I agree with the mayor is the following. I can see that the person in the EPWP is trying to make arrangements to pay their debt, right? But I cannot see the person that's owing 101,000 doing the same effort. So in that case, I would say discipline is needed to deal with the other person. But when the person applies for the position and says, I have debt and you can take it from his salary at salaries before he gets paid, then there's no qualms about that. And I understand the interest and I understand all of that. But the fact of the matter is, we need to pay what we need to pay. And if there's some way that you can sort it, that this can be taken care of, then that's fine. But that is not what I wanted to speak on. What I wanted to say, Mayor, when I said earlier that we must treat each other with respect and that we must have leniency towards each other, please do not misconstrue what I said. Because the fact of the matter of the councillor being in arrears has nothing to do with me being kind to the person or us being cordial or being nice. The fact of the matter is the person owes this municipality. You've said that the person is paid, but the person is disputing that. So I have a question for the CFO that I would like to have an answer to so that I can have a better understanding of this dispute. So the person is disputing the fact that they had to pay, which they paid. So now is this dispute there to say, I paid, but I didn't really want to pay, so I want my money back? Because if that is the case, then I have to agree with Good Party that the person should be suspended. Because I'm a firm believer, and I say this again, in ethics and values. If I'm doing something wrong, and I'm caught doing something wrong, and even the Bible says, if a thief is caught, he must repay 7 times. If a person is found to do something wrong and they're supposed to fix it, there's no way that we can allow them to go back and try to fix the fix that they were supposed to fix. Because that doesn't make sense. If you admit to a payment and you come and make the payment because you admit I owe that money, and then you go to dispute it because you don't like what is happening, You're putting emotions into this thing. Everybody doesn't like me because I didn't pay. No, no, no. You didn't pay because you didn't want to pay. Now you paid. Now you caught that you paid. Now everybody knows that you did the wrong thing. Now you disputed. And this dispute can go on forever. So for me and for the ANC, that doesn't work. Because when you're caught doing something wrong, you need to be disciplined. That is as good as me going to the court, beating up my husband and standing there and telling the judge, it was the medication, but I actually intended doing it. And then I go and I defend myself. That is not how it works. So please, if that is what's happening here, if you can explain it to me, what will happen with the dispute and after the dispute, if that is what's going to happen, then I agree that that person should be suspended and that this should be expedited and finished as quickly as possible so that we can know what is happening. Because if it was another councillor, they would have to pay or pay off on their salary and be dealt with. No? So it's fair is fair. Again, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Rousseau. CFO, can you respond with regards to this dispute?
Huh? Oh.
Speaker, yeah, so the dispute, I don't know what else I can say, but I know that the dispute was lodged, I think, a month or so ago, and the personnel dealing with that dispute has actively engaged with the councillor. He was there at the office. As far as I know, this dispute has been finalized. I need to make sure, but there's certain rights that any taxpayer have in terms of the credit control. Now, it is so that in this boardroom, there's other rules, and there's rules for councillors. So one should look at it on both sides: the credit control, the rights of the taxpayer, and also the councillors. So that second part is not for me. For me, is the credit control policy, and I believe that we've done correctly in terms of the policy. The personnel has dealt diligently with this, so I'm sure soon we will get a resolve on that matter.
Thank you, CFO. Councillor, also just for reminding you, my office only received notification from the Finance Department through the Office of the MM as per the regulations that governs us as councillors when a councillor is in arrears for 90 days and more. And my office has not received any information from the MMs thus far again. So, councillors, we are done with item 6. Can I have a proposal and a secondment to accept? Thank you, Alderman Mama Bullock. Thank you, Councillor America. Councillors, then I'm at item 7/10, the Representation Committee System of Council. I have received a request from the Chief Whip of the ANC to amend the representation of the ANC on this item. With the Salga representation, where Councillor Kamani was the official rep, it will now be Chief Whip of the ANC, Councillor Rousseau. And the administration will note that. Thank you. Alderman Mama Bolo.
Thank you, Speaker. On the Section 79 committees, we would like to make changes as follows. On the MPEC, we would like to have as chairperson Councillor Luando Kagimbo. And on the Special Committee Code of Conduct of Councillors, we would like to have as chairperson Councillor Schools. And we would like to also have Councillor Lobsher on the committee, not being removed, but just chairperson, Councillor Schools. And Vredenburg Sport Advisory Forum, Alderman Vaughan. On the Salga working groups, Electricity, Energy and Public Works Working Group, myself, Alderman Mamabolo. Economic development and job creation. On SALGA working groups, Alderman Vaughan. And yeah, that would be that. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Chief Whip of the DA. The Good Party, will you do your changes now or wait until the appointment? Okay, all right. The Good Party will await any changes until the replacement has been completed through the IEC process and the Good Party. Thank you. Can I have a secondment for the proposals? Thank you, Chief Whip of Council, Councillor Schiffers. Councillors, and I'm at item 8/10. The performance management top layer is DPIP. Any questions for clarity or comments before I ask for a proposal to note the report? Can I have a proposal? Thank you. Secondman. Thank you, Alderman Mamabolo and Whip of Council, Councillor Schiffers. Councillors, and about item 9/10, municipal buildings and terrain. The establishment of the Dyersville Safety Hub. Can I have a proposal and a secondment? Thank you, Councillor Pretorius proposed and the Chief Whip of the ANC second. Thank you. Item 10, the urban revitalization, and it is for the amended council resolution as requested by the government apartments. Can I have a proposal and a secondment? Thank you, Alderman Vaughan, and thank you, Chief Whip of the ANC, Councillor Rousseau. Then at item 11/10, the offset. Can I have a proposal? Thank you, Alderman Mamabolo. Thank you, Councillor Mitchell. Councillors, thank you. Before I adjourn the meeting, there's an addendum, yes. So before I adjourn the meeting, apologies, administration, please note that Councillor Jackson is very ill. That's why she's not at the meeting today. Taysbury portfolio meetings more. Councillors, thank you. See you tomorrow at the portfolio meetings. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.